Chapter 601, Reconciliation. On the desolate and endlessly barren land, there were tens of thousands of cultivators, a very shocking sight. Obviously, these people had come for Zhang Hongyan. Cricky, the old man of Heaven's Secret, must have figured out the precise position where Zhang Hongyan is. This explains why so many cultivators are here. Liu Jingning frowned. FCK, the so-called old man of Heaven's Secret. When this business is done, I will destroy the Heaven's Secret Pavilion. Zhu Ke also frowned. He was very surprised. I never thought in the cultivation world there would be someone who could make such an accurate prediction. You can't do that. You can't possibly make yourself an enemy of the Heaven's Secret Pavilion. If you do, wherever you go, you'll be in danger. Liu Jingning exclaimed. Yes, the old man of Heaven's Secret might not be the most powerful guy, but no one is as strong as him. Even the powerful men of the form synthesis stage ask him for help or advice from time to time. Oh, really? If he is really that powerful, why on earth hasn't he predicted the consequences of offending me? Zhu Ke sneered. Clearly, he was not joking about bombing the Heaven's Secret Pavilion. He knew that he'd already grown powerful enough to do so. Liu Jingning had simply thought he was talking in nonsense. Apparently the old man of Heaven's Secret can predict almost everything, but he cannot predict what will happen to him. I don't know. Someone said this is the rule of some sort. Every time he makes a prediction, his lifespan is shortened. So if you want to ask help from him, you have to give him sort of potion that doubles his lifespan. If you ever dare offend him, you'll just make yourself the enemy of a huge number of people. I'm not afraid. Zhu Ke shouted. He didn't doubt how powerful the old man of Heaven's Secret was. In fact, he knew that Zhang Hongyan was in a much more dangerous situation than he had ever expected. To ask for help from the old man of Heaven's Secret, you had to pay a big price. Even so, to get the precise whereabouts of Zhang Hongyan, he still chose to ask, which clearly showed these cultivators were extremely determined to kill Zhang Hongyan. Bang! All of a sudden, a young man in black appeared in the sky. He looked extremely handsome but had a cold look on his face. Between his eyebrows, there was a mark of a flame. In his hand, there was a crimson Fang Tianji. He is the holy son of the heavenly demon sect, Zhao Munan. Someone exclaimed. I heard that he went to the blood-devouring abyss to do his cultivation in seclusion. I would have never thought he'd already returned. My goodness. Another man exclaimed. He is in the 9th level of the void training stage. In less than 100 years, he is bound to become the youngest man of the form synthesis stage. I doubt it. You know, in the Zhang family, the Gong family, and the Bei family, even in the illusionary flower and moon sect, the Utopia faction, the Heaven's Secret Pavilion, and the Four Directions Desolation faction, there are already many holy sons or holy virgins who are in the 8th or 9th level of the void training stage. In less than a century, they will all step into the form synthesis stage. Just as the saying goes, waves which come later are stronger and higher. Maybe after 1,000 years, there will be another powerful holy son or holy virgin who will step into the spiritual realm. Bang, bang, bang. A beautiful young woman appeared in the air and walked down on an invisible staircase. Whenever she took a step, a delicate blue lotus blossomed beside her feet. She is the Holy Virgin of the Bei family. It seems that she has already mastered the Azure Lotus treasure appraisal art. How marvelous! Each of her steps reflects the Taoist connotation. I am sure if she steps into the form synthesis stage, she'll be the strongest one. The Azure Lotus treasure appraisal art itself is a very powerful incantation. As far as I'm concerned, her master could be the disciple of the Emperor King. People had started to talk. As the time passed by, more and more holy sons and holy virgins of other powerful factions arrived. Zhu Ke and Liu Jingning secretly hid among the crowd. They hadn't changed back into their real forms, so no one recognized them yet. Among the crowd, Zhu Ke spotted Kenji, the holy virgin of the illusionary flower and moon sect, and Zhao Taixuan, the holy son of the 8 Directions Green Dragon sect. Zhu Ke smiled at Liu Jingning. I mean, if I kill all the holy sons and holy virgins here, would there be a huge earthquake in the eastern continent? Hearing this, Liu Jingning was stunned. Behave yourself. They are not that easy to deal with. She believed Zhu Ke had the ability to kill them all. The reason she asked Zhu Ke to behave himself was that she did not want him to be hunted down wherever he went. I'm also not that easy to deal with. You should wait until you step into the void training stage. I know you have many tricks, but you can't even beat me. You don't have any Taoist connotation. Liu Jingning said coldly. The Taoist connotation? Zhu Ke was a bit confused. Right at this moment, an old man appeared, and his energy wave suddenly covered the entire place. The crowd held its breath and looked at the old man. Good morning, everyone. I am Zhang Yushu, the head of the Zhang family. I believe we all gather here today for the same reason. Zhang Yushu paused and shook his head. I have to admit that Zhang Hongyan has indeed caused much trouble for my family, and I am sad to have her as a member of my family. If we allow her to step into a higher level, I think the entire eastern continent will be cursed. The old man of Heaven's Secret has told me that Zhang Hongyan is going to have her tribulation tomorrow. I hope every one of you can make an effort to help me kill her, and I will really appreciate your doing so. He is right. Even Yu's Gong family and Bei family were also been dragged into a quarrel, and I think this has something to do with Zhang Hongyan. I am glad to say that the Zhang family has already done quite a decent job trying to compensate us. As you can all see, Zhang Hongyan is only in the infant transformation stage and she is already capable of causing us trouble. If we allow her to step into the void training stage, the entire eastern continent will be chaotic. So no matter how dangerous the Celestial Burial Valley is, we have to work together to kill Zhang Hongyan. Hearing this, all the disciples in the three families shouted, "Kill Zhang Hongyan." Seeing this, Zhu Ke's face became dark. Why on earth have the three families made alliances with each other? It seems that your plan did not work. I think the Zhang family must have done a lot to comfort the Gong family and the Bei family. Liu Jingning shook her head. Zhu Ke sneered. I won't let them have what they want. Wait and see. I will make them fight against each other soon. Calm down. We should find out where Zhang Hongyan is. Liu Jingning said hurriedly. Buttface was worried. She's right. Zhu Ke thought for a moment and nodded. He had got plenty of ways to make the three families hate each other again, but if he really did so, he would expose himself and more importantly, he would not be able to stop their plans of killing Zhang Hongyan. By then, he could do nothing but run, and he would fail to save Zhang Hongyan. The most important thing for me to do is find Zhang Hongyan. Then I will kill them all. After killing all the cultivators of the void training stage, I think I am going to get many precious experiences. Thinking of this, Zhu Ke smiled. Chapter 602, The Carefree Building. When Zhu Ke and Liu Jingning left the area, a lot of cultivators were gathering in. They kept a low profile and didn't draw attention of many people. In such a noisy, crowded place, cultivators were constantly coming and going. Some people went to scout the Celestial Burial Valley in advance. Some people decided to leave on the spur of the moment. However, Zhu Ke, who left with Liu Jingning and a dog, was a little bit eye-catching. What? The guy who left just now looks quite familiar. A man murmured to himself from behind Zhu Ke with a frown. Someone beside him turned around and took a glance. DMN. He said, I know him. He's the lightning rogue. Holy SHT. No wonder he's so familiar to me. I remember when he was fleeing, he took a dog with him. Exactly. The butt of that dog is bald. That's him. The lightning rogue is here. Let's take him down. We have to erase this despicable man from this world. Many people who had been injured by the lightning which had been intended for Zhu Ke suddenly recognized him, and they were furious. Luckily, most of the cultivators had come here with the main forces of the big families and sects, so they hadn't seen Zhu Ke before. Those who had been struck by the lightning were cultivators Zhu Ke met on after setting off from Desolation City. Therefore, their headcount was not very high, and their uproar didn't draw the attentions of most people. Also, most of the cultivators who had been tormented by Zhu Ke were still in Desolation City. Around 100 cultivators formed a revenge team immediately. They started to chase Zhu Ke, shouting, kill the lightning rogue with rage. Those uninvolved were quite curious and began asking about the lightning rogue. The big shots of the big families and sects were also distracted by the noise. After learning they were chasing a man who always stabbed others in the back, the big shots soon lost their interest. After all, the main purpose for their being here was to kill Zhang Hongyan. As a cultivator who had reached the summit of the infant transformation stage, Zhang Hongyan didn't deserve such a big scene. However, the identity and talent of Zhang Hongyan were both way too extraordinary. The Zhang family worried that Zhang Hongyan might seize back power after crossing her tribulation. The other big families and sects worried that Zhang Hongyan's return might strengthen the Zhang family, which could throw off the balance between them. Therefore, they all shared the same target, and they could only rest assured after Zhang Hongyan's death. The most important part of the alliance between these holy sons and holy virgins was their agreement that the one who killed Zhang Hongyan would be the number one holy son or holy virgin in the East Continent. So, the big families and sects had attached much importance to this issue. It seemed they had come here to kill Zhang Hongyan, but really they wanted to assist and protect their distinguished holy sons and holy virgins when they strived for the reputation of number one in the East Continent. Zhang Hongyan was quite good in those years. It's a pity that her magic art is incomplete. I will definitely be the one who kills her. Zhao Munan, the holy son of the heavenly demon sect, spoke coldly with a chilled expression. His voice was saturated in an overbearing, domineering aura. As he spoke, some cultivators at the Golden Core stage and the original infant stage became quite pale as if they had been burdened by an enormous pressure. Lord Zhao is so majestic. The Holy Virgin of the Bei family replied with a faint smile. However, I remember you once tried to woo Zhang Hongyan, but your courtship was rejected. Your hatred originates in your love, right? Her words caused an uproar among everyone listening. Did the holy son of the heavenly demon sect try to woo Zhang Hongyan? Was his courtship reject? My god, I didn't expect something like that could happen to the majestic Zhao Munan. The holy son of the heavenly demon sect's face darkened. Apparently, Bei Lingrui provoked him by raking up his embarrassing issues. HMPH, I was too young and too naive back then, but I remember you were a copycat following after Zhang Hongyan in those years. You always called her sister Hongyan so that you could get elixirs from her. Since the relationship between you and her is so good, why are you here now? The holy son of the heavenly demon sect snorted sarcastically. His words astonished everyone. Even the powerful Bei Lingrui used to be a little girl following Zhang Hongyan. She is the successor of the Azure Lotus treasure appraisal art. I didn't expect her past to include this. The little girl has evolved into a holy virgin coming here to kill Zhang Hongyan. The holy virgin of the Bei family's face also darkened. However, soon an innocent and lovely smile appeared there instead. As you say, I was still a little girl in those years. How could I know the meaning of being haunted by misfortune? Now I'm grown and know I should have the East Continent's interest in mind. I can't allow Zhang Hongyan to turn the East Continent into a misfortunate land. Hearing her words, the onlookers nodded in agreement. Right, she was still a little girl then. How could she know the seriousness of this issue? However, some people still sneered at her. Bei Lingrui was not an innocent girl. She seemed to be simple and naive, but actually she was a cunning and evil woman. Unbridled laughter burst out in the crowd at this moment. Are you really enjoying this dog-eat-dog game? With a blade of grass in his mouth, a man in white leaned on a tree and stared at them with humor. Zhao Munan and Bei Lingrui became furious immediately. Huang Zaishan, are you looking to die? Come here and let's fight. Huang Zaishan? People were surprised. This recalcitrant young man was Huang Zaishan, a guardian of the Carefree Building. Many people became serious. The Carefree Building was not a big power in the East Continent. However, the big families and sects didn't want to offend it. The Carefree Building had been established by a group of genius cultivators. Any one of them could have acted as the Holy Son or the Holy Virgin in any big family or sect. However, They had chosen to set up the Carefree Building instead. The reason that the big families and sects didn't defend them was that the Carefree Building would be extremely powerful in the future. Even if they didn't have a powerhouse at the form synthesis stage now, when these genius cultivators eventually reached that stage, the Carefree Building would be the most horrible power in the East Continent. If the Carefree Building had been earlier discovered by the big families or sects, they would have been eliminated. Now these genius cultivators had reached the void training stage, so it was impossible for the big families or sects to wipe out the Carefree Building. This Huang Zetian was just a guardian of the Carefree Building. It was rumored that his strength could equally match the strength of Zhao Munan and other powerhouses. Therefore, Huang Zetian was also an outstanding cultivator among the current Holy Sons. I don't have time to play with you," Huang Zetian said grimly. "You're making a commotion hunting Zhang Hongyan. It startled our building head, who came here to check it out. We had no choice but to follow him." "What, is Dong Zhenji also here?" Everyone's demeanor changed. Even the expressions of the elders of the big families and sects darkened. Dong Zhenji was a name that caused many people to feel dread. Even some holy sons and holy virgins became frightened upon hearing it. As the building head of the Carefree Building, he was also at the core of the genius cultivators like Huang Zetian. Now he was at level 9 of the void training stage. It was said that he once fought against 8 holy sons at the same time whose cultivation stages were identical to his. Instead of being defeated, he won and seriously wounded 3 of the holy sons. Dong Zhenji was quite a vicious man, dapper in appearance. He could talk cheerfully and humorously with anyone while hiding a dagger in his smile. "Ha ha. Is the hypocrite Dong Zhenji also here? Why doesn't he show up?" Someone laughed heartily. It was Zhao Teixuan, the holy son of the 8 Directions Green Dragon sect. His words immediately silenced the whole area. Huang Zetian became serious and looked at Zhao Teixuan with a cold smile. The rest of the surrounding people were also shocked. Many people knew Dong Zhenji was a hypocrite, but only a few people dared say that, and Zhao Teixuan was one of them. "Zhao Teixuan, aren't you a bit too unforgiving?" Huang Zetian asked. "Our building head just seriously wounded you and made you spit blood during the trial. Is it necessary to slander him like this in public? Are you a man who can't afford to lose?" He snorted. He might have made me spit blood, but I also ruined his magical artifact. He doesn't want to show up now. Could it be that he still misses Zhang Hongyan and is going to see her now? Does Dong Zhenji adore Zhang Hongyan? The crowd was totally confused. However, some insiders knew Zhang Hongyan was the top among her peers and that Dong Zhenji was number 2. He was a rare talent slightly inferior to Zhang Hongyan. Dong Zhenji also adored Zhang Hongyan. He had tried to woo Zhang Hongyan, but all of his efforts were in vain. Patter, patter. At this moment, Huang Zetian slowly stood on the tree. He clapped and, ignoring the elders of the big families and sects, coldly said, "Indeed, our building head is with Zhang Hongyan now. I am here to deliver a message for him. You can prevent Zhang Hongyan from crossing her tribulation and you can ruin her cultivation achievements. However, the one who kills her will be the enemy of the Carefree Building." Hearing his words, the crowd gasped. Dong Zhenji is really diabolical. Chapter 603, You have met your match. Obviously, Dong Zhenji did not want to prevent others from stopping Zhang Hongyan going through her tribulation, and he did not mind others destroying her cultivation. This demonstrated that he also wanted to eliminate the misfortune Zhang Hongyan caused. Once Zhang Hongyan's cultivation was destroyed, she would become an ordinary woman, and she would no longer pose a threat to any faction or family in the entire Eastern continent. Zhang Hongyan had always been the most talented among her peers, and no one had ever surpassed her no matter how hard they tried. Neither had Dong Zhenji, and most importantly, he had failed to win Zhang Hongyan's heart. Now Zhang Hongyan had returned and Dong Zhenji could still not force her to give in, even if she was just in the highest level of the infant transformation stage. But if Zhang Hongyan's cultivation were to be destroyed, Dong Zhenji could easily get her. Now that everyone else was determined to take her life, if Dong Zhenji managed to save her life, there was a great chance he could finally win her heart. This had made many present cultivators quite envious since they all wanted to win Zhang Hongyan's heart. She was such a beautiful and noble woman. But few people present dared to oppose Dong Zhenji since it seemed a bit stupid to fight for a woman with the risk of offending people from the Carefree Building. If we managed to save Zhang Hongyan's life, Huang Zishan said, we would be very willing to allow 10 cultivators to get into the Carefree Building. If anyone dares to contradict with us, we'll definitely make him suffer. The next minute, he gradually disappeared. Hearing this, the people present began to change their minds. Getting into the Carefree Building was really quite something. Everyone knew that it was extremely difficult to get in. The people in the Carefree Building were all very arrogant and looked down upon holy sons and holy virgins who they deemed weren't talented enough. Although those extremely powerful holy sons and holy virgins did not care about the Carefree Building at all, some of them, and even the powerful elders, started to change their minds. If a disciple of a certain faction or family joined the Carefree Building, that faction or family would gain a powerful ally. Suddenly, the 3 old men of the 3 big families, as well as other powerful cultivators of various factions, looked at each other. They gently moved their lips and began to send each other voice messages. 10 people have the opportunity to get into the Carefree Building. This is really quite something. I think we should consider keeping Zhang Hongyan alive. Zhu Ke, Liu Jingning and Buttface were about to enter the Celestial Burial Valley. Between 2 huge mountains, there was the big entrance of the Celestial Burial Valley. For years, no one had ever dared to get close to the entrance. When Zhu Ke and Liu Jingning arrived at the entrance, they found hundreds of people gathering in front of it. Most of them had been sent by the influential families or factions to see what was going on. Not far away from the entrance, there was a wonderfully beautiful and noble woman sitting among the flowers. Zhang Hongyan, a woman who with beauty that no one could match, and a woman targeted by almost everyone in the eastern continent. Hongyan. Zhu Ke exclaimed and landed. Zhu Ke had not seen Hongyan for a few months, and he was surprised to find that Hongyan had grown more powerful and beautiful than when she was back in the Five Elements Mountain. But soon, the smile on Zhu Ke's face froze. Zhang Hongyan was sitting rather close to the entrance, which was rather dangerous. Just a few meters away, there stood a handsome young man. Zhang Hongyan was focused on her cultivation and did not notice what was happening around her. The handsome young man stood in front of her, had his eyes glued to Hongyan, as if he were admiring something that belonged to him. Liu Jingning was surprised. I never thought he would come here. Then she turned to Zhu Ke and said, Little KK, you have met your match this time. You know what? Hongyan never lacks pursuers. So what? That young man, compared to me, is nothing. Zhu Ke sneered. If it weren't for not wanting to disturb Hongyan, he would have already gone forward to punch the guy. He's Dong Zhenji, the most powerful holy son among us and the leader of the Carefree Building. Even I can't beat him. Liu Jingning smiled at Zhu Ke. She found this situation, in which Zhu Ke had met his match for the first time, rather interesting. Obviously, she meant that Zhu Ke could not possibly beat him. Dong Zhenji? What a strange name. Zhu Ke sneered. Hearing this, Liu Jingning rolled her eyes. Your name sounds even more strange. By the way, when Dong Zhenji was born, there was a piece of jade inside his mouth. On the surface of the jade, there were 2 characters, comma or Zhenji. This even shocked the old man of Heaven Secret. He came to see the baby and predicted his future. Can you guess what he said? The baby is crooked, but can still be saved. What? Liu Jingning asked, confused. A newborn baby with a piece of jade inside his mouth. Don't you think he would be choked to death? Stop talking in nonsense. The old man of Heaven Secret said Dong Zhenji was an immortal cultivator in his last life and that he's going to become the foundation of the cultivation world. Zhu Ke stared at her in silence for a moment. Never mind. He finally said, I have to see how Hongyan is. I want to make some preparations for her before her tribulation comes. Zhu Ke waved his hand and headed to the entrance. Liu Jingning did not say anything and followed him. However, Buttface suddenly got frightened while staring at the entrance. He was trying to recall something and failed to do so. Then he stopped thinking and hurried to catch up with Zhu Ke. Jingning, I never thought you would come here. Dong Gengjie ignored Zhu Ke and smiled at Liu Jingning. Still, Zhu Ke managed to catch his lewd smile, even if it only lasted for a few seconds. You hypocritical dirty man. Zhu Ke cursed. Liu Jingning was used to such lewd smiles from men. She had also noticed Dong Genji's smiling and knew why Zhu Ke had cursed, but she didn't address it and just smiled. Dong Genji, I knew you would be here. Liu Jingning, she said. Zhu Ke slowly walked past him with an indifferent look. At this moment, Dong Genji looked at Zhu Ke and spoke with surprise. Nice to meet you. My name is Dong Genji. I am sorry. You are? Liu Jingning knew Zhu Ke was in a bad mood. She feared he was about to quarrel with Dong Genji. Just when she was about to introduce him to Dong Genji, Zhu Ke suddenly beamed. You are very polite. My name is Wang Saiken. I come from the Exploding Heavens faction. I see. Dong Genji smiled back. I hear over you wherever I go. No way. Zhu Ke replied politely. I am not that famous. Seeing this, Liu Jingning was surprised. She was not surprised by Dong Genji's words since she knew he had always been an arrogant and hypocritical man. Rather, she was shocked by Zhu Ke. Just a few seconds ago, Zhu Ke called Dong Genji a hypocritical man. Compared to Dong Genji, he's the hypocrite. Brother Dong, I see you standing here. Are you protecting my Hongyan? If you are, I really appreciate your doing so. Zhu Ke said. Hearing this, both Dong Genji and Liu Jingning were stunned. Dong Genji was a bit annoyed, but the next moment he shifted his mood and smiled. I see, Hongyan has spoken to me about you. You're Zhao Wangba. Hearing this, Liu Jingning immediately knew Dong Genji was verbally abusing Zhu Ke and forced out a smile. So did the few hundred cultivators standing in the back. They had been watching what was going on between Zhu Ke and Dong Genji and were deeply impressed by Dong Genji's reactions. No wonder he became the leader of the Carefree building and made a bunch of talented cultivators follow him. FCK him. Zhu Ke, he just verbally abused you. You're not angry about this? Buttface said angrily. The atmosphere became awkward. Right at this moment, Buttface got an idea and looked at Dong Genji. So, you're Zhao Jiba? Hearing this, Liu Jingning almost burst into laughter. Dong Genji's face instantly turned dark. He coldly glanced at Buttface. How dare you? Zhu Ke angrily scolded Buttface. Hearing this, both Liu Jingning and Buttface were shocked. What is wrong with you? I was helping you, for God's sake. At the same time, Zhu Ke turned around and smiled at Dong Genji. I am sorry. He was kidding just now. I promise I will teach him a lesson later. In fact, I have also heard my Hongyan mention you. You are Genji Ba. Chapter 604. Here I am. Swish. All at once, the atmosphere became awkward. Are you Genji? A DCK? There was nothing wrong with the question. However, like Buttface, Zhu Ke intentionally paused in his pronunciation, which made the question sound like, are you a DCK? Zhu Ke and Buttface were humiliating Dong Genji by making his first name sound like DCK. Liu Jingning almost couldn't hold it in. She turned around immediately and her body was trembling slightly. Obviously, she was trying her best not to burst into laughter. However, the onlookers standing to the side burst into laughter after a momentary pause. They couldn't help laughing, even if they were afraid of the strength of Dong Genji and the Carefree building. Dong Genji had been a celebrity for many years. None of them expected his name to be used by Zhu Ke as a tool for humiliation. My fellow cultivator Wang, I don't think the relationship between us is good enough that we can address each other by name. Dong Genji's eyes were full of murderous intent. However, he managed to hold back his anger and speak rationally through a false smile. His tone, however, was noticeably colder than before. Liu Jingning managed to painstakingly hold in her laughter. She was about to turn around to ease their embarrassment. She knew well that Dong Genji was a man who would seek revenge over the smallest of grievances. Because his special identity, Zhu Ke would experience endless trouble if he became the mortal enemy of Dong Genji. However, before she had time to say something, Zhu Ke winked and curiously asked, What Brother Dong said is right. I will not address you by name. By the way, I've heard you had Genji in your mouth when you were born. That's why they named you Genji, right? Liu Jingning burst into laughter. She had been originally disgusted by Dong Genji. Anyone could feel disgust for this kind of hypocrite. However, as the powerful and cunning head of the Carefree Building, at least Dong Genji was respected by most people on the surface. But now his name had been made fun of by Zuke and Buttface 3 times. First he was a small DCK, then he was a DCK, and then they said he was born with a DCK in his mouth. Liu Jingning couldn't hold in her laughter anymore. Even though she knew she shouldn't laugh, it was too satisfying. Zuke had intellectually crushed Dong Genji. I had a piece of golden jade in my mouth. Dong Genji almost burst with anger. If he wasn't keeping control over his sanity, he would have strangled Zuke. Right. The 2 characters Genji were inscribed on the jade. Actually, I think the golden jade is of low importance compared to the 2 characters, which must have a secret from heaven behind them. It seemed Zuke didn't sense Dong Genji's anger, so he kept seriously discussing the topic with Dong Genji. Dong Genji's face was very dark. In front of powerful opponents, he wouldn't reveal emotions through his face. On the contrary, he would appear apathetic. However, Zuke was just a level 4 sovereign of the infant transformation stage. This was nothing for Dong Genji. He showed his respect to Zuke to show due respect to Liu Jingning and Zhang Hongyan and maintain his graceful bearing. But he didn't expect Zuke to continue humiliating him, especially with such low blows. This was also the first time he felt he'd been outwitted by someone. He felt like a genius doing his best to solve a problem who was suddenly faced with a stupid guy solving the problem instantly. This was way too humiliating. My fellow cultivator Wang, enough is enough, okay? Dong Genji said coldly, staring at Zuke. Pressure from his body started gushing toward Zuke. He didn't want to be hypocritical anymore by posing an undisguised threat. However, Zuke just ignored his threat as if nothing had happened. The next moment, Zuke feigned surprise and asked, "Brother Dong, what's wrong? Did I say something inappropriate? My gosh, you really have a good name. Don't tell me you don't like the name Genji." Dong Genji, furious, was about to murder Zuke with raised arm moves. However, he'd hardly finished saying, "You are seeking death," when his movement abruptly stopped. He was a bit stunned. The next moment a magnificent aura swept out from Zhang Hongyan like a turbulent tsunami. Zhang Hongyan opened her sparkling eyes. Her majestic and mighty aura vanished and was replaced by water-like gentleness. Dong Genji was delighted, and made to come over. Whoosh! Suddenly, a figure flew over Dong Genji and landed in front of Zhang Hongyan. It was Zuke. Zuke smiled. "Here I am. Are you surprised? Is this unexpected? Are you happy?" Zhang Hongyan was not surprised at all. It was as if she had already known Zuke would come. She shook her head. "You shouldn't be here." She sighed, but there was a faint smile on her face. "No way. You protected me when I crossed my heavenly tribulation, and now it's my turn to protect you." Liu Jingning also came closer and, embarrassed, said, "Zhang Hongyan, I lived up to my promise. But this little brat didn't listen to my advice and came here finding the way himself. I just can't stop him." It might be hard for you to believe that he found the way by repeatedly tossing his shoes. Hearing that, Zhang Hongyan was surprised. By tossing his shoes? Dong Genji was also confused. However, he didn't take the story seriously. It was bullshit that someone could find their way by tossing their shoes. For him, Zuke must have gotten the information of Zhang Hongyan's whereabouts and come here by using a teleportation device. However, none of these issues mattered now. He was quite curious about the relationship between Zuke and Zhang Hongyan. When he heard Zuke said "my Hongyan," he hadn't taken it seriously. But Zhang Hongyan's attitude toward Zuke was really unexpected. From his perspective, Zhang Hongyan seemed gentle and nice, but she was apathetic in a way that usually pushed people away. Now, however, Zhang Hongyan was being really gentle and nice to Zuke. Building head Dong, "I really appreciate your protection just now." Zhang Hongyan turned to Dong Genji and spoke with a faint smile on her face. Although she was in cultivation condition, she was aware of her surroundings. Before the arrival of Zhu Ke, the cultivators were trying to attack Zhang Hongyan. However, they abandoned this effort when Dong Zhenji appeared. Of course, Zhang Hongyan knew these people couldn't pose a threat to her even Dong Zhenji wasn't here. Dong Zhenji smiled. Hongyan, you are always welcome. Based on our close relationship, Zhenji, Zhu Ke interrupted with a grin. Brother Dong, we still have some family affairs to discuss. How about you go and I will chat with you over dinner some other day? Zhu Ke's dismissal was so obvious that Dong Zhenji couldn't stop his face from darkening. Zhu Ke had mentioned family affairs, which was obviously provocative as a declaration to everyone that he'd set up a family with Zhang Hongyan. Zhang Hongyan didn't react to Zhu Ke's words and just silently glanced at Dong Zhenji. Dong Zhenji understood Zhang Hongyan's attitude immediately, so he forced a smile and folded his hands. In that case, I'll see you later. After saying that, he turned around and left without hesitation. He knew humiliation was all he would get if he remained here. However, after Zhang Hongyan crossed her tribulation tomorrow she would become his toy, and Zhu Ke would be first on his kill list. Little brat, you offended a troublesome man, so you have to be careful in the future. Watching Dong Zhenji from behind, Zhang Hongyan warned Zhu Ke quietly with furrowed eyebrows. Zhu Ke smiled with an indifferent expression. Dong Zhenji, he's nothing for me. Liu Jingning smiled wryly. She didn't have the heart to tell Zhang Hongyan that Zhu Ke had offended almost all the big families and sects in the East Continent. If nothing goes wrong, I will cross my heavenly tribulation tomorrow. Little brat, you leave here with Jingning now and wait for me in the South Continent. Zhang Hongyan smiled at Zhu Ke, but her gaze was still quite serious to convey that she wasn't kidding. I'm already here, and I'm not going to leave you. Well, just put on the equipment that can protect you during the tribulation tomorrow. I'll set up several spells so that we can have fun with those guys. As he spoke, Zhu Ke purchased a spirit visage and a banshee's veil from the system, which were both pieces of equipment to enhance magic resistance. Zhang Hongyan shook her head and didn't take the equipment. Instead, she looked at Zhu Ke seriously and tried to urge him to leave. You don't understand. Tomorrow's situation will be out of your control. Zhu Ke bent over and placed the equipment in Zhang Hongyan's arms. Before she had time to react, he patted her head and, with an affectionate smile, said, be good and obedient. Put them on first and wait here until I finish setting up the spells. Zhu Ke turned around and left in a handsome, domineering way, Zhang Hongyan and Liu Jingning staring dumbfounded in his wake. This is definitely the aura of an overbearing president, right? How could the king of tough acting keep failing at teasing girls? Zhu Ke was very delighted. He opened the system mall and started to search for the advanced spells. He'd developed a well-thought-out plan to kill those guys. This time I will not only upgrade my cultivation stage, but also act tough by making those guys spit blood. I will definitely be the king of tough acting and the one who has the last laugh. Chapter 605, Burning the Cultivators to Death. Seeing this, Liu Jingning was rather shocked. She couldn't believe it. He asked Hongyan to behave herself. And Hongyan just allowed him to? Liu Jingning stared at Hongyan in great surprise. In her view, Zhang Hongyan had always been a very calm and gentle soul. In fact, it was exactly because of her calmness that all the holy sons and holy virgins felt a sense of inferiority in front of her. Zhang Hongyan never meant to make anyone feel like this. It was just because she was too outstanding. Anyone who stood in front of her either felt a sense of inferiority or felt the need to work hard and catch up with her. No one had ever really surpassed Hongyan, both in terms of their power or their characteristics. Even a talented genius like Dong Zhenji had never been able to surpass her. All these years, Dong Zhenji had worked hard to win Hongyan's heart, and everyone knew it, but he had never managed to win her heart. For the first time ever, Liu Jingning saw her really accepting someone. She can't be in love. The next minute, Hongyan picked up the green armor and put it on, and put a cross-shaped accessory into her pocket. She really put on that ugly armor, just as Zhu Kai told her to. My goodness, Liu Jingning was so surprised that she covered her tiny mouth with her hands. In her view, both the green armor and the accessory were nothing special. She couldn't believe Hong Yan had just done what Zhu Kai told her to. They really fell in love with each other. Liu Jingning was stunned. At the same time, she grew more curious about Zhu Kai. How on earth has he managed to win Hong Yan's heart? In fact, Zhang Hongyan had seen this green armor before. Zhu Kai wore this when he went through his thunder tribulations. More importantly, this green armor could weaken the power of the thunder tribulations. That was why she quickly put it on without hesitation. She also figured Liu Jingning was thinking something was going on between her and Zhu Kai, but she didn't want to explain herself. Suddenly, a scene flashed through Zhang Hongyan's mind, when both of them were still in the Water Nation and Zhu Kai lied on the ground, pretending he was injured and saying he would only get up on the condition that Hongyan kissed him. At the same time, Zhu Kai was walking around the outskirts of the Celestial Burial Valley. Since he had mastered the dragon hunting formula, he was able to analyze the topography. In his eyes, the entire Celestial Burial Valley looked like a sharp sword that pointed directly at the eastern continent, and the point of the sword was the entrance to the Celestial Burial Valley. Obviously, the Celestial Burial Valley is easy to guard and hard to attack. I can set up some magic arrays and trap the cultivators. For those cultivators, the Celestial Burial Valley was also the perfect place to trap Zhang Hongyan. They planned to gather together at the entrance of the Celestial Burial Valley, and on the other end of the Celestial Burial Valley there was no way out. This way, Zhang Hongyan would be trapped inside and could not possibly run away. In fact, the idea of running away never crossed Zhu Kai's mind since he had decided to teach the cultivators a good lesson. The advanced level incantations have cost me lots of acting tough points. But anyway, I can use them to fight against the cultivators of the void training stage. Zhu Kai looked at the array appearing on the screen of the system and smiled. Currently, he only had 6,000 acting tough points, while a high-level magic array cost about 4,000 acting tough points. Even so, Zhu Kai had decided to spend his acting tough point buying an array of high level, as long as he could kill more people. Besides, if he managed to upgrade his level, he could act tough more easily and gain more acting tough points. The topography here is rather dangerous, and there are many options for me to choose. For example, the Myriad Flame Incinerate Ghosts spell plus the Mystical Fires would be extremely powerful. No matter how many cultivators there are, I could easily kill them all. Zhu Kai looked at the screen and nodded. Once I set up an array with the mysterious stone, the Myriad Flame Incinerate Ghosts spell could easily be activated. Besides, with the Mystical Fires, its energy would be 3 times stronger. Most importantly, it only costs 5,000 acting tough points. My goodness, do you really have such a powerful magic array that can kill all the cultivators at present? Buttface was shocked when he heard Zhu Kai murmuring, I'm just at the infant transformation stage, and even if I can practice a high-level magic array I can't make the most use of it. There are just too many cultivators here. To kill them all, I would have to find some other way. I don't have any extra time to upgrade my level now, and I also don't have enough acting tough points. I have to find some other way. Do you mean you want to put them off by throwing stinky tofu at them? You can count me in on that. I'm sure they can't stand the smell of stinky tofu. Buttface spoke with great excitement. Obviously, he was craving stinky tofu again. FCK the stinky tofu. FCK off. I'm going to set up an array. Zhu Kai took out a flag and quickly penetrated the ground with one end of it. A sudden tornado of spiritual chi appeared and it became windy. He threw another piece of spiritual stone on the ground, and the tornado moved in another direction. Zhu Kai was standing rather far from the others. All the cultivators knew he was setting up an array, but no one really cared. Usually, only someone from either an influential faction or family was able to set up a powerful array by consuming a huge amount of resources and labor. That was why they didn't feel threatened by the array set up by Zhu Kai. Dong Zhenji left from the entrance. Soon, a few young ladies walked toward him. Obviously, they had all come from the Carefree building. That young man came to help Zhang Hongyan? A young, Beautiful lady laughed. That's really interesting. He wants to set up an array outside of the Celestial Burial Valley. He's just in the infant transformation stage. He can, at best, set up a basic level array. A young man mocked. Hearing this, another young man shook his head and said, I don't think so. He's setting up the array with a spell flag. I think the array must be in middle level. Don't be ridiculous. He's just in the infant transformation stage. This can't be possible. You know what? Even we, who come from the Carefree building, only know one way of setting up a middle-level array. Don't underestimate that young man. He looks so confident. I'm afraid he has got some potential. Never mind. Even if he knows how to set up an array in the middle class, so what? He cannot possibly stop the cultivators from getting into the valley. Things are getting more and more interesting now. They decided not to kill Zhang Hongyan, but only to destroy all her cultivation. Our leader can finally have Zhang Hongyan to himself. Chapter 606. This guy is insane. Outside the Celestial Burial Valley, white clouds sparsely dotted the clear and boundless sky. Although hundreds of cultivators gathered outside the valley, it was still quiet. These people had been sent to spy on Zhang Hongyan's action. They didn't plan to attack her. They didn't have the guts to attack her. When Liu Jingning arrived, she had taken off her human-skinned mask along with Zhu Ke and revealed her face. The cultivators had already recognized her identity. As the prestigious Holy Virgin of the Utopia sect, Liu Jingning was not someone they could mindlessly offend, even if she was not as reputable as Dong Zhenji. Moreover, Zhang Hongyan had reached the highest level of the infant transformation stage. None of the cultivators dared attack her. Liu Jingning and Zhang Hongyan silently watched Zhu Ke, who was setting up spells at a distance. After a while, Liu Jingning turned to Zhang Hongyan with a smile. I didn't expect this little brat to push his every limit for you. It's a pity that tomorrow you'll have to face desperate combat. No matter how many spells he sets up, they can only slow those people down for several breaths. Speechless for a short while, Zhang Hongyan eventually shook her head. He never does something he isn't sure about. After being with him the past few days, I agree with you. However, this time is different. The situation is unavoidable now. Among your opponents, there are over 100 powerhouses at the Void training stage. Even the Utopia sect sent 5 elders at the Void training stage here. Luckily, my Grandmaster is not here. Otherwise, I wouldn't be able to stay here and protect you. After saying that, Liu Jingning helplessly sighed, but tomorrow I can't stay here anymore. She was quite clear that nothing would happen if someone saw her staying beside Zhang Hongyan. However, if she were found here tomorrow, the Utopia sect would become involved in this issue. According to the style of those big sects and families, they would definitely accuse the Utopia sect of being partial to Zhang Hongyan. Tomorrow you should just leave together with Zhu Ke. He is quite gifted and deserves a better future. It is unnecessary for him to offend the entire East Continent for me. Zhang Hongyan said calmly. Hearing her words, Liu Jingning smiled dryly and shook her head. Nothing he does matters now. He has offended almost all the families and sects in the East Continent. Zhang Hongyan was stunned and her eyebrows furrowed. What happened? Liu Jingning sighed and told her everything Zhu Ke had done since his arrival in the East Continent. On the first day, he'd offended the Bright Moon Hotel and killed sovereigns of the Gong family and the Zhang family. Then, he'd killed another batch of people in the stone quarry of the Zhang family. That night, he'd attended the stone-cutting convention and cheated all the families and sects there. Finally, he'd teased the 3 big families mercilessly. He'd even become the notorious lightning rogue on his way here. Hearing that, Zhang Hongyan was totally dumbfounded. He'd managed to offend all the big families and sects in the East Continent within several days. However, Zhang Hongyan soon realized the issue. It seemed that every trouble Zhu Ke had encountered was not caused by him, but by someone else. All these troubles came to him as if they were arranged by an invisible hand. Zhang Hongyan's eyes dimmed. In a low voice she said, "He is haunted by the misfortune." Don't worry. It seems that is the last thing he's afraid of. He broadened the horizons of my beliefs about people the last few days. Ordinary people are always frightened by misfortune. Only this little brat always plans to make trouble. In addition, I get the feeling that he is quite happy after knowing he is haunted by misfortune." Liu Jingning said this part with a weird expression. After hearing her words, Zhang Hongyan was surprised and opened her mouth to say something. Rumble. Suddenly, a thunderous bang came in from the sky. They were surprised and thought the big families and sects were preparing to attack in advance. After looking up, the two of them became stunned at the same time. They saw an enormous swirl in the sky, which was sweeping spiritual chi around it crazily. Even the magnificent spiritual chi at the inlet of the celestial burial valley was being sucked up by the swirl like floodwater. A moment later, light bloomed on the ground several hundred meters away from them. After the convergence of the spiritual chi, a light screen rose abruptly. In the blink of an eye, the entire inlet of the celestial burial valley was blocked by the light screen, which separated them from the guys outside. Meanwhile, black flames gushed out from the ground into the sky and were turned into a sea of black flames. Inside it, countless ghosts wrapped by black flames floated and gave off a horribly fervent aura that twisted the void. These flames were the mystical fires added by Zhu Ke, the 8-waste destruction flame. Considering the aura, is it an expert spell? Liu Jingning was completely shocked and her expression immediately changed. Zhang Hongyan was also totally stunned. They had noticed Zhu Ke setting up a spell yesterday. However, they hadn't given it much thought. Even Zhang Hongyan knew Zhu Ke could take extraordinary measures, but they had never expected Zhu Ke to set up an expert spell. Outside the inlet, everyone stared with wide eyes. An expert spell. Is he insane? My gosh. The spell used to protect the mountain of our illusionary flower and moon sect is also an expert spell. Now you're talking. Except for the Zhang family and the Gong family, who can set up spiritual spells, only a few families and sects in the East continent can afford to set up expert spells. DMN. This guy is really insane. Why did he set up an expert spell here? This is a reckless waste of natural resources. This guy is totally lunatic. SHT. Hundreds of cultivators sent by the families and sects to spy on Zhang Hongyan were trembling and shouting in surprise. Headed by Dong Genji, people of the Carefree building were also dumbfounded. Then, a man beside Dong Genji regretfully said, "That guy is absolutely insane. If I knew he was setting up an expert spell, I would have robbed it from him just now." Everyone became quiet. An expert spell couldn't be evaluated with spirit stones or treasuries. Spell masters were quite scarce in the East continent. The expert spells were even rarer, which could only be obtained from the large auctions held every few decades. The spell used to protect the Carefree building was just an intermediate spell, but now Zhu Ke had set up an expert spell to help Zhang Hongyan in holding the big families and sects off. It was a reckless waste of grain. An expert spell wasted like this, alas. The young girl who had kept staring at Zhu Ke shook her head and sighed regretfully. Where does that guy come from? Someone asked, glancing at Dong Genji. Dong Genji's face was quite dark and his heart was filled with rage. He had underestimated Zhu Ke and lost an expert spell, which completely ruined his mood. Just now he said he was Wang Saiking of the Exploding Heavens faction. Have you ever heard of this organization? Dong Genji asked coldly. People around him were immediately confused. Apparently, they hadn't heard of it before. One man in white among them started speaking with surprise in his voice. I heard that during the stone-cutting convention co-hosted by the Zhang family and the Gong family several days ago, a guy from the Exploding Heavens faction made trouble and caused great loss to the three big families. But the name of that guy is Chow Yun Fat. Really? Yes, I heard that Chow Yun Fat of the Exploding Heavens faction cooked a kind of smelly tofu there that could enhance any cultivator's soul strength by 10%. What? How could such a thing exist in this world? Hey. It was nothing. He even took out a miraculous item which could look through the ancient stones. That miraculous item was purchased by the three big families with 5 million high-grade spirit stones. However, Zhang Limu of the Zhang family betrayed the alliance of the three big families by stealing the item. His whereabouts are still a mystery. For this, the Zhang family suffered great loss by compensating the Gong family and the Bei family with 3 ancient cities. Chapter 607, Stop it, otherwise, it will explode. Hearing this, both Dong Zhenji and his followers were stunned. They all knew that if they got the magical object that could see through things, they would surpass all the other influential families and factions in less than 10 years, and the Carefree Building would become the most prominent power in the entire Eastern continent. The big 3 families have been trying to cover this up, a man in white said, but many people witnessed what happened, so the news just spread today. Give my orders to the fellows in the Carefree Building and ask them to track Zhang Limu down and anyone else who is related to the Exploding Heavens faction, including that young man who just set up an array of a high level. Remember, don't kill him once he is caught. Bring him back to the Carefree Building instead. I am sure he must be carrying some other valuable things with him. This young man must have gone into some ancient caves to become this powerful. I have never heard of this so-called Exploding Heavens faction, which means that this faction is still rather young. If I can end it before it grows much stronger, it will do the Carefree Building good. Zhu Ke finished setting up the array and walked to Zhang Hongyan with Buttface. Seeing Zhang Hongyan wearing the spirit visage as well as the Banshee's veil, he smiled. Little chap, how on earth do you know how to set up a high-level array? Liu Jingning asked Zhu Ke with great surprise. She realized she had underestimated him once again. There were plenty of reasons for her to do so, since even the Utopia faction only knew one way to set up a high-level array after paying a huge price. Zhang Hongyan was also greatly shocked and never thought Zhu Ke could be this powerful. Setting up a high-level array is a piece of cake for me. If I weren't on a tight budget, well, I could have set up many arrays of the spiritual level or even an ancient scary array. If I hadn't spent so many acting tough points on upgrading my system, I would definitely set up a few arrays of spiritual levels, even if each one cost me tens of thousands of acting tough points. The ancient scary array, which only costs me a few thousand acting tough points, is much cheaper than an array of the spiritual level, but only a cultivator at the class of 8 stars can set it up. To upgrade my level to that level, I need to spend hundreds of thousands of acting tough points. Array of spiritual level? Hearing what Zhu Ke said, Liu Jingning was shocked. Excuse me, I need to hurry up now. A high-level array is not enough. Zhu Ke paid no attention to Liu Jingning's and Zhang Hongyan's facial expressions and quickly took out dozens of storage rings from the system parcel. He waved his hand and threw these storage rings into the air. All of a sudden, a huge amount of soul strength energy burst out and covered all the storage rings. Then he took out his killer book and raised up his hands. The next minute, a 3-colored fire lotus rose up. The molten green lotus, the bone freezing fire, and the 8-waste destruction flame all appeared. Seeing this, Zhang Hongyan was a bit surprised. She had seen him practicing this before and knew how powerful this was. She could also feel that this time, the energy of the 3-color lotus was even more powerful. Zhu Ke, what are you going to do? Liu Jingning asked in surprise. Obviously, she had also noticed this. So did Buttface. He quickly backed off and said, Zhu Ke, calm down. The big war is in tomorrow, not today. Why on earth are you doing this? Zhu Ke did not reply and kept focusing on what he was doing. The 3-color fire lotus rotated slowly while giving out frightening spiritual chi. The energy of the genuine Buddha's fiery lotus, which was 30 times more powerful than the killer book, and the fully cultivated killer book, were enormous. Even Zhu Ke was a bit afraid and sweat appeared on his forehead. Seeing this, Buttface screamed and quickly ran away. Back in the Snow City, Buttface had once been accidentally burned by the lotus and all the hair on his butt had singed away. No hair had ever grown back there. This is, Liu Jingning could not believe what she had seen. Before she met Zhu Ke in the Eastern continent, she had heard that Zhu Ke almost bombed the Bright Moon Hotel with the genuine Buddha's fiery lotus. Still, She was extremely terrified when she saw this with her own eyes. Zhang Hongyan was also stunned and could not believe that in just a few months, the genuine Buddha's fiery lotus had grown more powerful. Zhu Ke was still holding the genuine Buddha's fiery lotus in his hands and kept squeezing it. Soon, the genuine Buddha's fiery lotus stopped shrinking and began to expand, with its energy getting more and more concentrated. Jesus, Zhu Ke, stop it. Buttface shouted, otherwise, it will explode. Zhu Ke, what on earth are you doing? Seeing the genuine Buddha's fiery lotus getting bigger and bigger, Liu Jingning became extremely worried. More and more drops of sweat appeared on Zhu Ke's forehead. He was trying very hard to control the genuine Buddha's fiery lotus. Right at this moment, Zhang Hongyan stood from the ground and moved close to Zhu Ke, ready to help at any time. She had never seen Zhu Ke with such a serious face and could tell Zhu Ke was dealing with something very difficult. Bang! The void around the genuine Buddha's fiery lotus collapsed. The genuine Buddha's fiery lotus started to change its form and was about to explode. Stop it now! Liu Jingning shouted. Bang! The genuine Buddha's fiery lotus was almost to explode and a huge amount of energy erupted from it. Liu Jingning was extremely frightened and was about to reach her hands out to Zhu Ke when Zhang Hongyan took them away. Right at the moment, Zhu Ke took out a storage ring and put the genuine Buddha's fiery lotus, which then exploded, into it. In the blink of an eye, all the heat and energy disappeared, and everything went back to normal. Zhu Ke took a deep breath and folded the divine tracking emblem in his sleeve. He had prepared to leave immediately with both Zhang Hongyan and Liu Jingning if he failed to concentrate the energy of the genuine Buddha's fiery lotus. Luckily, he had managed to put the genuine Buddha's fiery lotus into a storage ring right as it exploded. The storage ring that contained the genuine Buddha's fiery lotus could not be opened now. Otherwise, the energy of the explosion would be rather destructive. However, this was exactly what Zhu Ke wanted. So, you want to... Liu Jingning had guessed Zhu Ke's intentions. Zhu Ke smiled. Yes, this is the surprise for them. Now please leave me alone. Concentrating a genuine Buddha's fiery lotus is really tough. I need to focus and make more of it by tonight. Hearing this, Liu Jingning and Zhang Hongyan looked at each other at the same time and forced out two smiles. They had given up the idea of persuading Zhu Ke to stop what he was doing. By now, Zhu Ke had already grasped the idea of how to make a genuine Buddha's fiery lotus on the brink of an explosion. He summoned out the system and turned on the self-reviving. After he regained his soul's strength and genuine energy, he began to make another genuine Buddha's fiery lotus. Chapter 608. Zhang Hongyan's Heavenly Tribulation. All through the night, Zhu Ke kept producing 3 color fire lotuses without any pause, and threw them into the storage rings 1 second before their explosion. Seeing so many storage rings in front of them, Liu Jingning and Zhang Hongyan became speechless and very serious. This bizarre idea was unprecedented. No one ever put such powerful magic art into storage rings. Liu Jingning and Zhang Hongyan were shocked. They knew clearly that only those who could perfectly control the magic arts could realize what Zhu Ke had finished, which had extremely strict requirements upon the soul's strength. This was impossible even for Liu Jingning and Zhang Hongyan. Maybe powerhouses at the form synthesis stage could do so. However, cultivators at the form synthesis stage couldn't do that, for they always despised such methods. However, what confused Liu Jingning and Zhang Hongyan was how Zhu Ke would use those storage rings after putting so many 3-color fire lotuses in them. If he detonated them after tossing them out, those watchful cultivators would use their defense arts immediately, which would impair the damage of the 3-color fire lotuses remarkably. But now Zhu Ke was still caught up in making the fire lotuses. He became more and more delighted. Moreover, he had activated the function of automatic recovery, so he would never get tired or run out of true core strength and the mystical fires. Liu Jingning and Zhang Hongyan were surprised by this scene. However, no matter how confused they were, they couldn't ask and interrupt Zhu Ke. After feeling safe, Buttface also walked back shaking his head. This guy is totally insane. If he just tosses all these storage rings out, I don't believe they'll cause any damage to those people. When dawn faintly lit the sky, More and more cultivators had arrived outside the celestial burial valley. Finally, when the sun rose, a large crowd of people dashed over from afar like black clouds. Thousands of cultivators, who gave off horrible, fearful auras, headed for this area riding the flying swords. At first glance they seemed like millions of troops from heaven. Elders at the void training stage of all families and sects with high statuses stood in the front. However, all of them were shocked when they saw the powerful spell filled with black flames outside the celestial burial valley. The entire spell was filled with different colors. An enormous light screen blocked the inlet of the celestial burial spell. Behind the light screen, it seemed there was a sea of black flames. Countless ghosts made of black flames floated around. However, they couldn't see what was happening in the spell. Is this an expert spell? Zhang Yushu, the Grand Elder of the Zhang family, was totally surprised. Who did this? To set up an expert spell here is really a reckless waste of grain. It's absurd. A powerhouse of the Gong family angrily declared with furrowed eyebrows. The one who set up this spell is a total lunatic. This guy is absurd. An expert spell wasted. What a pity. DMN. Even our heavy sword sect doesn't have an expert spell. Could it have been set up by Zhang Hongyan? But how could she have an expert spell? People at the rear part of the crowd spoke about this expert spell. They were shocked and aggrieved by the spell. The cultivators sent to spy on Zhang Hongyan soon gave reports to their families and sects. Again, their reports surprised the latecomers. This spell was set up by a sovereign at the infant transformation stage. Apparently, he was trying to help Zhang Hongyan. Is it for real? Several powerhouses asked in surprise. How could a sovereign at the infant transformation stage have an expert spell? It was impossible even for a holy son to have an expert spell. It is absolutely true. That guy spoke with Dong Genji, the head of the Carefree building, and said was Wang Saiking of the Exploding Heavens faction. Exploding Heavens faction? Again? Several powerhouses who participated in the stone-cutting convention frowned. What's more, Liu Jingning, the Holy Virgin of the Utopia faction, is also in the spell. What? Hearing that, 4 powerhouses at the void training stage of the Utopia faction couldn't keep their seats anymore. They already knew that Liu Jingning and Zhang Hongyan used to be friends, but now the news that Liu Jingning was still in the spell could get the Utopia faction involved in this issue. All at once, an elder at the void training stage stepped forward and, staring at the spell, shouted, "Holy Virgin, are you going to betray our faction?" In the spell, Zhu Ke had already stopped his preparation. After one night's hard work, he'd managed to produce over 103 color fire lotuses, then he'd put all of them into over 100 storage rings respectively. He wouldn't have stopped if he hadn't sensed the arrival of the powerhouses outside the spell. The next moment, they heard the yell of the Utopia faction's powerhouse. Liu Jingning smiled wryly. "It's time for me to go." She wouldn't mind staying here to help Zhang Hongyan if it were possible. However, as the Holy Virgin of the Utopia faction, she couldn't do that. Otherwise, the Utopia faction would be implicated. After all, the big families and sects in the East Continent were going to kill Zhang Hongyan this time. "Just go. My heavenly tribulation is coming. You shouldn't be here." Zhang Hongyan calmly stared at Zhu Ke. It was implied that she hoped he specifically could leave this place to avoid being implicated. "Right, you heard that? Just go. This is not the place for you to be." Zhu Ke played dumb by staring at Buttface and Liu Jingning. Meanwhile, he took out the spell flag and prepared to send them out by opening the spell. "I agree with you," Buttface joyfully said. Liu Jingning smiled a bit and looked at Zhang Hongyan thoughtfully, waiting to see how she would urge Zhu Ke to leave. However, before Zhang Hongyan had time to speak, Zhu Ke said, "Don't try to persuade me. I will take charge of everything today, and I never do something that I am not sure of. Don't you believe me?" He was staring at Zhang Hongyan. Zhang Hongyan was stunned. She met Zhu Ke's gaze for a long time. At last, she sighed, "If the spell is broken, you have to go." She knew Zhu Ke had a spell which he could use to escape the pursuit of powerhouses at the void training stage. Without giving an affirmative or negative answer, Zhu Kai just nodded his head and pretended to agree to Zhang Hongyan's requirement. However, from his cunning eyes, she knew he wouldn't leave if the spell broke. Zhang Hongyan didn't force Zhu Kai to leave. She glanced up with a serious face, for she had sensed her heavenly tribulation was drawing near. Zhu Kai smirked. Then he took out the spell flag and prepared to open the spell so that Liu Jingning and Buttface could get out. After all, he couldn't count on Buttface, and it was useless for Liu Jingning to stay here because they couldn't implicate her faction. Just at this moment, he heard a clear and flirtatious voice. "Little Quack, don't die. I know you can escape. If Zhang Hongyan refuses to run away, please don't die with her." Zhu Kai turned around and found Liu Jingning smiling at him. Zhu Kai's eyes widened. The woman was apparently teasing him. Although she'd asked him to avoid dying with Zhang Hongyan, she was implying that he could escape with Zhang Hongyan if she refused to leave on her own. Rumble. A dull rumbling abruptly came from the sky. The next moment, a magnificent, suffocating pressure descended from the sky like an enormous but invisible palm pressing down. "Just go now." Zhang Hongyan's expression shifted and she gracefully jumped into the sky. The spiritual chi beneath her feet turned into a stream of running water, which formed a water bridge that kept extending forward. Zhang Hongyan walked along the water bridge and landed on a mountain near the inlet of the celestial burial valley. She was preparing to cross her heavenly tribulation. "Okay. You just go out now. No matter what happens, just stay as far as possible and don't come back again." Zhu Kai took out the spell flag and opened a secret exit as he spoke to Buttface and Liu Jingning. "Little brat, remember, don't die." Liu Jingning smiled. The next moment, she made eyes at Zhu Kai as if she were trying to seduce him. After that, she turned around and left. "Tsk tsk tsk. What a coquettish young girl. No, she is definitely a siren." Zhu Kai felt as if his blood were frozen. This woman was really good at flirting with men. Zhu Kai shook his head. Then, he turned to Buttface and prepared to urge him to go. "Buttface, be quick, just go." However, hardly had he finished his words when he was dumbfounded. Buttface had already disappeared. When he'd opened the spell, this shameless dog rushed out immediately ahead of Liu Jingning. "DMN, he's really fast running for his life." Zhu Kai was speechless. After following Liu Jingning and Buttface with his eyes, he waved his hands and lowered the spell flag to close the spell. Rumble. The sky was filled with black clouds. Lightning kept flashing in the clouds as if it were a lightning dragon shuttling back and forth. Zhu Kai turned around and found Zhang Hongyan sitting on the summit of the mountain with her legs crossed. Strands of spiritual chi gathered around her and turned into a water curtain to envelop her. After seeing the descent of the thunder clouds from the sky, the cultivators outside the spell immediately became serious. Zhang Yashu's eyes widened. He angrily shouted, "The heavenly tribulation has arrived. Zhang Hongyan has nowhere to run. Let's break the spell." Chapter 609. This is extremely terrifying. Bang. Outside, thousands of cultivators began to activate their inscriptions all at once. Some holy sons and holy virgins activated inscriptions that were much more powerful than the cultivators. Bang! Suddenly, the energy of the inscriptions hit the light screen of the myriad flame incinerate ghosts spell. The array Zhu Kai created had already absorbed a huge amount of spiritual chi and was very stable. Even if it had been hit, it was still intact. Its light dimmed a bit but nothing more. After all, the myriad flame incinerate ghosts spell was a high-class array. Many of the influential factions didn't even know how to set it up. Its power could even kill a man of the void training stage. Seeing this, everyone present was shocked. Zhang Yashu, the leader of the Zhang family, frowned. "It seems that this array is much more powerful than I thought." "So what?" "I believe that if we hit it 10 more times, the light screen will definitely crack." The old man from the Gong family sneered. "When we get in, we should destroy Zhang Hongyan's cultivation first, then we should catch that young man alive," the old man in the Bei family said. "I think he's carrying lots of valuable objects." Hearing this, the rest of the people nodded. The holy sons and holy virgins were also stunned by what they had seen. "This is really impressive." Zhao Taixuan, The Holy Sun from the Eight Directions Green Dragon sect became rather interested in the array. Bailing, the Holy Virgin of the Bei family, sneered, "Never. I am sure this array will be destroyed before Zhang Hongyan goes through her thunder tribulation." Hearing this, Zhao Teixuan shook his head. "You're too full of yourself. I don't agree with you, since even if the array is broken, the black fire inside is also very dangerous." "Don't tell me you're afraid?" Bailing Lu sneered. Zhao Teixuan stared at her coldly. "We'll see who gets to kill Zhang Hongyan." "Killing Zhang Hongyan? You would dare kill someone who's wanted by the Carefree Building?" Zhao Munan, the Holy Son of the Heavenly Demon sect, mocked. "I would dare." "I know you're all cowards," Zhao Teixuan said in a deep voice, and a huge amount of energy erupted from him. The other Holy Sons and Holy Virgins glanced at him and activated their inscriptions. Right at this moment, Zhu Ke stood behind the light screen. Seeing the light gradually dim under the attack, he was not worried at all. Instead, he began to smile. "What a bunch of losers. I thought it would take less time for them to destroy the light screen. It seems that I overestimated them." Zhu Ke shook his head, put his spell flag on the ground, and walked toward the mountain where Zhang Hongyan was. In fact, he had been worried that they would easily destroy the array. Now he was confident that it would take quite a while for the cultivators to do so. Bang! The thunder was getting louder and louder, the heavy black cloud getting closer and closer to the top of the mountain. It was so big that almost the entire sky was covered and, of course, the sunlight was blocked as well. Zhang Hongyan was sitting on the mountain and giving out a huge amount of spiritual qi of the water element. She was shrouded in a water shield on which many golden inscriptions kept appearing. The golden inscriptions rotated quickly around Zhang Hongyan, and the sound of someone singing scripts floated around from time to time. After a short while, the water shield froze. Zhu Ke quickly ran and landed beside Zhang Hongyan. He then looked up and glared at the sky with a serious face. He knew that once he got close to Zhang Hongyan, the power of the thunder tribulation would get stronger, and he would become the target of the lightning. But he did not care, since he could feel that this thunder tribulation was rather different from all the other thunder tribulations he had experienced before. It was much more depressing and dangerous. Zhu Ke believed that if he did not help her, Zhang Hongyan would be in great danger. Zhu Ke looked at the sky and sneered. "Come, you stupid thunder tribulation. I want to see if you can kill me. I'll absorb all your energy and improve the great ultimate derivation dragon and elephant seal. Then I'll be invincible." With the thunder essence inside his body, he had managed to finish around 30% cultivation of the heavenly thunder seal of the great ultimate derivation dragon and elephant seal. He believed that if he absorbed more thunder energy, he would be able to complete the cultivation of the heavenly thunder seal. When that time came, he could easily defeat the Holy Sons and Holy Virgins. Right at the moment, Zhang Hongyan sensed that Zhu Ke was next to her and frowned. After all, the thunder tribulation this time was in fact called the 69 Heavenly Tribulation. If Zhang Hongyan managed to get through it, she would step into the void training stage. She worried that Zhu Ke might be killed, since he was only in the 4th level of the infant transformation stage. However, she was now completely focused on the tribulation and could not stop to ask Zhu Ke to leave. At the same time, all the surrounding spiritual qi, including the mysterious spiritual qi in the celestial burial valley, gathered around Zhang Hongyan. It seemed that she was going to practice a powerful incantation. Zhu Ke sensed that Zhang Hongyan was worried about him. He smiled at her and said, "Don't worry, just focus on your own business. I'll absorb all the thunder energy and it will actually do me good." Hearing this, Zhang Hongyan was a bit relieved. Bang! The thick and heavy black cloud suddenly cracked in the middle. A ray of extremely bright light shed upon the top of the mountain. He felt something ringing in his ears. It felt like the sound was coming from his heart. He trembled all over. Raising his head to the sky, Zhu Ke was stunned by what he saw. On the other side of the cloud, he saw millions of people standing in a great formation. They all shined in silver and looked like the magnificent Milky Way floating in the sky. Zhu Ke was too shocked for words. Are they the so-called heavenly soldiers? It's just a f-king tribulation. Why on earth would they come here? What on earth has Zhang Hongyan done wrong to be treated this way? Right at this moment, all the soldiers shouted, "Give my money back." Their loud combined voice echoed throughout the land. Chapter 610, A million celestial soldiers collect debt. Pay it back. The magnificent yelling echoed between heaven and earth. It was earth-shaking and caused landslides on the mountains. Zhu Kai stared dumbfounded, his mouth widely, and he almost spat blood. Pay it back? What the hell? I don't owe you money. He suddenly realized what was going on. It seemed he really owed something. Specifically, 8,000 acting tough points. After the interest had been compounded by the unscrupulous system, the total sum had reached 20,000 acting tough points. Damn, this is not good. Zhu Kai sweated profusely. He cursed the ancestors of the system 100 times in his heart. I just owe 20,000 acting tough points. Why the hell did you ask 1 million celestial soldiers to collect the debt? No. This is not debt collection. They are going to kill me here. Zhu Kai opened the system. System? What do you mean? Are you nuts? You're humiliating me. Why did you ask 1 million celestial soldiers to collect the debt from me? He asked angrily. Do you think I would rather kill myself than pay it back the acting tough points? Now it's a dire moment. The perfect opportunity for a hero to save a beauty. You asked so many people to collect your debt. How could I act tough in this scenario? Ding. The host shall pay it back the principal and interest of 20,000 acting tough points now. Otherwise, the host shall face the consequences. It is right and proper for those who owe money to pay the debt. Please behave yourself. The system's chilly and relentless voice echoed in Zhu Kai's mind. Zhu Kai was enraged. Puff. Why should I pay it back the acting tough points I borrowed through hard work? Besides, now I only have around 1,000 acting tough points. How could I pay you back? You can ask those celestial soldiers to leave now, and I will pay you back after acting tough this time, okay? Ding. The debt collector beats debtors has been activated and it will not be deactivated unless the host pays back the acting tough points. Then you're killing me now. Zhu Kai said angrily. However, this time the system fell silent and stopped replying. Zhu Kai became even angrier. He remembered when he first activated the system it said it would act tough and fly together with him. How could it be so cruel and make trouble out of nothing now? Fine, you are forcing me to do so. You sent 1 million celestial soldiers, right? After talking tough, Zhu Kai looked up again. Among the thick black clouds, he saw 1 million celestial soldiers swiftly flying toward him with great momentum. However, when these celestial soldiers drew nearer, Zhu Kai's face lit up. It seemed the celestial soldiers were not substantial but composed of converged thunder, and the pressure and aura they gave off were exactly the same as the heavenly tribulation. In front of these celestial soldiers made from converged thunders, the heavenly thunder of purple cloud and the ancient catastrophe were nothing. Zhu Kai's heartbeat couldn't help quickening. This is the heavenly tribulation. They are 1 million celestial soldiers made from converged power of the heavenly tribulation. They are no longer fearsome for me. I got it. This time maybe it is really a coincidence. A smile appeared on Zhu Kai's lips. The system had activated the debt collector beats debtor's function to collect its debt. Maybe what it summoned were real celestial soldiers, but also some kind of mystical power. Coincidentally, Zhang Hongyan crossed her heavenly tribulation today. Her heavenly tribulation was already quite difficult, and through combination of the two factors, the power of the heavenly tribulation had turned into 1 million celestial soldiers. In other words, these celestial soldiers were not only the heavenly tribulation Zhang Hongyan had to face soon, but also the debt collectors for the system. However, exactly what Zhu Kai needed eagerly now was the mighty power of thunder. Originally, he thought it would be boring if Zhang Hongyan also had to face the heavenly thunder of purple cloud and the ancient catastrophe. Now he was excited. System, it seems I misunderstood you. I didn't expect you to be so considerate. Thank you. Zhu Kai didn't forget to show appreciation to the system when he was overjoyed. The system was confused by his words. Ding. Host, please make yourself clear. If the system were intellectual, it might have been even more confused. I asked someone to beat you up, but you thank me in return. Why? That was clear enough. Ha ha ha. Zuke laughed loudly and waved his hand to purchase a spirit visage and a banshee's veil. Then, he put them on along with a negative cloak. These items enhancing magic resistance protected him from the ancient catastrophe when he crossed the 59 heavenly tribulations. However, these 3 items were not enough to protect him against 1 million celestial soldiers. But Zuke had no choice. He only had around 1,000 acting tough points left. He couldn't just use them up casually. He knew clearly that he would definitely be wounded, so he had to save those acting tough points to keep the automatic recovery function on. Crack. At this moment, a crisp noise sounded from behind him. Zuke turned around surprised and found Zhang Hongyan had also sensed the extraordinarily powerful momentum of the heavenly tribulation. It seemed her mind was influenced by the tribulation. Fractures started to appear on the frozen water curtain outside her body. The long eyelashes on her beautiful eyes trembled slightly as if she were urging Zuke to leave immediately. Zuke smiled. "Don't worry, it is just the 69 heavenly tribulations. Let me handle them." After saying that, Zuke raised his arms and a dark heavy buster sword appeared in his hand. He looked up slowly at the sky, a touch of perseverance and determination appeared on his face. At this moment, the cultivators outside the spell watched completely terrified. Although the myriad flame incinerate ghosts spell blocked the inlet of the celestial burial valley, it couldn't cover the sky. When 1 million celestial soldiers made from converged thunder appeared, everyone outside the spell was greatly shocked. Within an instant, they experienced an emotional change from confusion, to astonishment, and finally to fear. They Zhang Hongyan's 69 heavenly tribulations? Impossible. This is no longer the 69 heavenly tribulations. Even the 79 heavenly tribulations couldn't be so horrible. Could it be that these are the legendary humanoid lightning or heavenly tribulations composed of celestial incarnations? No, they are not humanoid lightning. It is a celestial army that could instantly destroy the East Continent. Insane. This is totally insane. What is Zhang Hongyan exactly? How could she cause such a horrible catastrophe? Wait. It sounds to me as though those celestial soldiers shouted "pay it back" when they appeared. Are they here to collect debt? Yes. I also heard them shout "pay it back." Many people were confused. Even the powerhouses, holy sons and holy virgins of the big families and sects looked quite pale. They didn't know what exactly was happening, but they knew clearly that this kind of heavenly tribulation would not only kill Zhang Hongyan, but also eliminate them all. Even the entire East Continent could be ruined. Dong Zhenji and his underlings of the Carefree Building were also terrified. No matter how arrogant they were, they couldn't keep calm now. The formation of 1 million celestial soldiers was endless. Its momentum was way too horrible. Zhang Hongyan really deserves to be called the #1 cultivator from those years, someone said with a wry smile. Even those who had reached the void training stage were still no match for Zhang Hongyan. Someone looked at Dong Zhenji and shook his head. Building head, I'm afraid she is doomed this time. Dong Zhenji's heart trembled. However, his expression didn't change. After staring at the sky for a while, he started speaking through clenched teeth. It's a pity I can't get Zhang Hongyan, but for me, she is nothing but a toy. She could die. That guy could also die. But we must obtain that guy's storage rings. I bet he has a lot of treasuries with him. We can't afford to lose them. Not far away, Liu Jingning and Buttface had returned to the team of the Utopia faction. However, Liu Jingning and Buttface were also dumbfounded. How? Could this be? Liu Jingning asked with a shaky voice. Buttface was also shocked. I think the target of this heavenly tribulation is the little brat. He has no conscience. Could it be that someone else's heavenly tribulation is also aiming at him? Boom. A dull sound abruptly came in from behind the spell. The next moment, a figure rocketed into the sky before so many shocked and frightened eyes. With a dark heavy buster sword in hand, the figure rose straight up with murderous intent. Chapter 611. No one will survive this. Bang! Millions of heavenly soldiers were shouting aloud as lightning flew across the clouds. It was extremely terrifying. The power of the tribulation stunned every living creature standing on the ground. What surprised everyone the most was the man flying toward those soldiers. That young man is the one who set up the high-level array. Does he have any idea what he's doing? Everyone exclaimed. These are the heavenly soldiers. For God's sake. The leader of the Zhang family and cultivators from other influential families frowned at Zhu Ke. They worried that once Zhu Ke was killed, which was inevitable, the valuable objects he had would disappear. In particular, the magic object that could see through ancient stone. However, no one dared to get close. They believed they would be shredded to pieces once they got near to the tribulation, not to mention to take away Zhu Ke's storage ring. Seeing this, most of the holy sons and holy virgins were shocked. It's him. Kenji, the holy virgin of the illusionary flower and moon sect, murmured with a frown. She had met Zhu Ke the first day he arrived in the eastern continent and also saw him make a mess of the Bright Moon Hotel, so she immediately recognized him. Zhao Teixuan also recognized Zhu Ke. This young man is really quite something, Han Ying, the Holy Virgin of the Heaven Secret Pavilion said with surprise. No wonder he took risks to kill the holy sons and holy virgins of the Zhang and Gong families. I can't see his past or future. I've never even heard of this man before. I can tell he's 20 at most. Could it be possible that he's a disciple of Zhang Hongyan? Then it seems Zhang Hongyan found herself a good disciple. Anyway, that young man is really an idiot to get involved in the tribulation. Zhao Teixuan sneered. Even I don't dare to get close. He's just a man of infant transformation stage and he thinks he can handle this. Kenji also sneered. He's too young and too naive, Zhao Teixuan concluded. Hearing their conversation, Zhao Munan, Beiling Lui, and the other cultivators all laughed. None of them cared if Zhu Ke was going to be killed or not. For them, a man of the infant transformation stage was equal to an ant. What they wanted to see was how Zhang Hongyan would be killed in this tribulation. Han Ying was rather confused. Obviously, in her view, Zhu Ke flying toward those soldiers was tantamount to suicide, but she did not feel bad from him. She could tell that Zhu Ke was somehow shaded by luck. Bang! The sound of thunder echoed in the air, and countless bolts of lightning intertwined together. All the soldiers stood in great formation. Compared with them, Zhu Ke was just like a wooden boat in the tumbling sea. Give my money back! The soldiers shouted again. This time, everyone else on the ground heard them clearly. Zhu Ke was not afraid at all. He answered, no. Give my money back. FCK off. Hearing this, all the holy sons and holy virgins were shocked, and the pride in their hearts was destroyed. The heavenly soldiers came to ask that young man to give their money back. What the hell? What's wrong with this world? Millions of heavenly soldiers appearing to ask a young man of the infant transformation stage to give their money back. I must be daydreaming. Everyone's brain went blank. They could not possibly figure out how on earth this had happened. What on earth has Zhu Ke done? Liu Jingning murmured. Buttface was also completely stunned and speechless. You've got the wrong person. Zhu Ke shouted back, black fire erupting from his body. Okay, yes, I borrowed your money, but that's because I'm strong enough to do so, so I owe you nothing. Hearing this, everyone was shocked by Zhu Ke's words. I see, Dong Zhenji sneered. So this young man is too stupid to taste fear. He's bound to be destroyed by the power of the tribulation. He'd never liked Zhu Ke before, so he was very happy to see him confronting millions of heavenly soldiers. All the cultivators believed they were afraid of the power of the tribulation because they respected it, not because they feared it. And they all considered Zhu Ke's boldness as recklessness and ignorance. Just as the saying goes, the more you know, the more afraid you grow. The stronger you are, the more inferior you feel, an old man from an influential family said. Zhu Ke was only a few hundred meters away from the heavenly soldiers. All of a sudden, tens of thousands of them surged forward. Each of them wore a piece of silver armor and held a silver spear in his hand. Their faces were all blurred as if hidden behind some sort of light. All the cultivators were surprised because they believed they were simply not entitled to see their faces. Bang! Tens of thousands of heavenly soldiers' bodies blurred and changed into silver bolts of lightning. The next minute, They all dashed toward Zhu Kai. Meanwhile, Zhu Kai waved his dark heavy buster sword and exuded energy as powerful as the group of soldiers coming toward him. The next minute, tens of thousands of black shadows of the dark heavy buster sword appeared. Bang! The shadows of the dark heavy buster sword tilted down toward the soldiers. Bang! The shadows of the dark heavy buster sword collided with a silver lightning, and a huge explosion could be heard. Suddenly, everyone was stunned. They never thought Zhu Kai, a man of the infant transformation stage, could be this powerful. I admit that I underestimated him, Zhao Teixuan said seriously. Even I could only do as much as he did just now under the circumstances. Zhao Munan said, showing Zhu Kai respect. Bailing Lui laughed loudly. I admit this young man is quite something, but still, he's dead. Now the rest of the soldiers are going to kill Zhang Hongyan. Zhang Hongyan is destined to be killed. We don't even need to do it ourselves. Zhao Munan suddenly stopped talking. Everyone's facial expressions suddenly changed. Impossible. How can this be? Zhao Teixuan was stunned. A shadow quickly appeared, and it was Zhu Kai. All the soldiers turned into electric arcs of lightning. But Zhu Kai was also not in good condition. His armor had already fallen to pieces, and so did his negative cloak. He was bleeding, and if it were not for the system's self-healing mechanism, he would have already been dead. When the soldiers died, they turned into countless silver bolts of lightning and were absorbed into Zhu Kai's body. With his god of hell's compulsion, his body became much stronger than before. He also noticed that the cultivation of the heavenly thunder seal had reached 40%, which surprised him a lot. Zhu Kai floated in the air while holding his dark heavy buster sword. He pointed it at the rest of soldiers and coldly said, "No one will survive this today." Chapter 612, Extremely Powerful. The whole area fell silent. Everyone was dumbfounded and terrified. Even the holy sons and holy virgins started to doubt they would live. Who the hell? Is this guy? Zhao Teixuan, the holy son of the Eight Directions Green Dragon sect, asked in surprise. He couldn't look down upon Zhu Kai anymore. He blew away tens of thousands of celestial soldiers with one move. Then, he pointed at the remaining celestial soldiers and none of them could escape this time. What a reckless guy he was. Interesting. This guy is qualified to fight me. Zhao Munan, the holy son of the heavenly demon sect, said seriously. Several holy sons and holy virgins beside him couldn't help showing their displeasure. Han Ying, the holy virgin of the heaven secret pavilion, sneered. Zhao Munan, you just said you would die with those tens of thousands of celestial soldiers, right? That guy is still alive. Doesn't that mean you'll be defeated by him? You're wrong. Just now I meant even I can only wipe out tens of thousands of celestial soldiers with one move. I didn't mean I will be killed by them. Zhao Munan deadpanned. However, this time no one retorted him. The holy son of the heavenly demon sect had become extremely powerful several decades ago. Now, he had just finished his cultivation in the blood-devouring abyss. He could be deemed number one among all holy sons. Therefore, he was fully qualified to say this. Bei Lingrui, the holy virgin of the Bei family, sneered. Zhao Munan, you could eliminate tens of thousands of celestial soldiers with one move. But do you have the guts to point at the remaining celestial soldiers and say none of you will escape? I never talk nonsense like this. Just now he was facing tens of thousands of celestial soldiers. If 1,000,000 celestial soldiers attacked at the same time, even the patriarchs at the form synthesis stage could be killed. Zhao Munan replied coldly. His eyes snapped to the sky above the celestial burial valley and he became speechless. Everyone else just smiled silently. Although Zhu Kai's actions and words shocked them, they still had the confidence to kill tens of thousands of celestial soldiers. After all, those were not real celestial soldiers but converged lightning with limited strength. Of course, all of them were sniffy about the last sentence Zhu Kai had said, "None of you will escape." They thought that was quite ridiculous. Elimination of tens of thousands of celestial soldiers was totally different from the annihilation of 1,000,000 celestial soldiers. As Zhao Munan had said, if 1,000,000 celestial soldiers attacked at the same time, even the patriarchs at the form synthesis stage would be killed on the spot. Therefore, none of them believed Zuke could win this fight. He was still in great danger. The elimination of tens of thousands of celestial soldiers just now was nothing but giving a few dying kicks. However, Zuke really planned to annihilate all the remaining celestial soldiers. He'd had a rough time fighting just now, but he had benefited from it. The thunder forming those tens of thousands of celestial soldiers could compare with the 49 heavenly tribulations, which enhanced his heavenly thunder seal by 10%. Now over 900,000 celestial soldiers were still in front of him. How could he let such a powerful thunder energy slip away? I will kill them all. Zuke smiled coldly in his heart when he opened the system store. He had earned around 10,000 acting tough points during his attack just now. The warning tones kept echoing in his mind, and his acting tough points were still slowly increasing. He knew he couldn't save the acting tough points now. He had to spend a lot of acting tough points to arm himself against danger. Soon, he purchased a new spirit visage and a new negative cloak. Then, he purchased 5 new Banshee's veils. When he tried to put on all 7 pieces of equipment, he failed to put on the last Banshee's veil. Ding! The host can only put on 6 pieces of equipment from League of Legends. The system reminded him immediately. SHT, I'm not playing games. Why can I only put on 6 pieces? Zuke's eyes widened, but he didn't want to argue with the system anymore. 6 pieces of equipment were enough. His magic resistance doubled and his physique was also strengthened. Now it was time to fight again. Whoosh! He jumped into the sky with the dark heavy buster's sword in hand. Then he charged at the remaining celestial soldiers again by stepping on lightning. This time, the celestial soldiers' momentum was even stronger than before. Over 100,000 celestial soldiers rushed toward Zuke like an enormous skynet. Their dazzling silver light almost covered the sky. Countless people in this area couldn't help gasping and felt their blood freeze. Over 100,000 celestial soldiers attacked together like a silver sea on the sky. Zuke was just like a grain of sand in the sea. How could he survive that? Celestial soldiers made from converged lightning are so mighty and powerful. Someone exclaimed. If the real celestial soldiers come, we'll just be ants for them. This time he definitely can't stop those celestial soldiers. Zhao Munan said, shaking his head. The attack from tens of thousands of celestial soldiers couldn't hold a candle to the attack from over 100,000 celestial soldiers. Even Zhao Munan thought he couldn't withstand such a horrible pressure, let alone a cultivator at the infant transformation stage. He's survived up till now. That's impressive. Bai Lingrui, the Holy Virgin of the Bai family, said indifferently. His death is worthwhile, for he has impressed me. She was very arrogant and thought Zuke should be honored for simply managing to impress her. Hearing this, many holy sons and holy virgins nodded in agreement. It was quite normal for them to hold such ideas based on their strength and status. A nobody should be honored if he could show up in front of these holy sons and holy virgins and impress them. Buttface suddenly howled and began to cause trouble. That little brat might die soon. I hereby declare that I am going to find a new human pet. Any holy son or holy virgin who is interested in being my human pet could contact me. However, after saying that, Buttface ducked into the crowd of the Utopia faction immediately and didn't dare show his face. Many holy sons and holy virgins tossed their angry eyes in his direction. They didn't find the one who had shouted, however, so they forgot about it temporarily. Liu Jingning ignored Buttface's clamor. She fixed her eyes on the sky and moved her red lips slightly to deliver a message to Zuke. Little brat, stop your pointless resistance. Just use your spell and leave with Hongyan. However, her message was ignored by Zuke. Stop the pointless resistance? You must be kidding. I have automatic recovery function and 6 pieces of magic resistance equipment. How could my resistance be pointless? Thousands of disasters and 100 times more hardships throughout the centuries all ends in the blink of an eye. Zuke shouted the acting tough verses loudly and dashed toward the celestial soldiers like a god of killing. The closely packed, inky sword shadows swooped across the sky carrying the magnificent black mystical fires. Immortal body and undestroyable soul of mine, Shadow everyone! Zhu Kai continued to shout loudly, and his yelling echoed between heaven and earth like a deafening bell. At the same time, those inky sword shadows also rushed toward the celestial soldiers. Rumble! All at once, a deafening bang came from the sky again. Countless sword shadows collided with the celestial soldiers. A horrible explosion ensued, which was several times more horrible than before. Zhu Kai was devoured by the silver light. The magnificent impact force turned to scattered, tumbling ripples. The mountains nearby were turned over by the airwaves. Countless hilltops disappeared abruptly as if they had been cut through the middle. Fractures appeared on the myriad flames incinerate ghosts spell set up by Zhu Kai. It was shaking and crumbling. Everyone stepped back. Some powerhouses even formed invisible walls with magic arts to resist the airwaves. This powerful impact was far more violent than the others. This time that guy was killed, right? A man of the Carefree building asked. Definitely. Dong Zhenji replied coldly. Zhu Kai's continued survival had embarrassed him a lot. But this time, he was quite sure that Zhu Kai had died because the strength of over 100,000 celestial soldiers had gone beyond his imagination. Even he couldn't withstand such a strike, let alone a cultivator at the infant transformation stage. However, when the silver light dissipated, a lonely figure appeared in the sky again with cold winds blowing. The crowd exploded in an uproar. How? Could that be? This is absolutely impossible. He was not killed. Everyone was shocked and couldn't believe their eyes. This was way too outrageous. Even cultivators at the void training stage couldn't survive such a powerful impact. He was just at the infant transformation stage, but he survived. Numerous holy sons and holy virgins stared with shocked expressions. Ha 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 ha. Suddenly, Zhu Kai started to laugh loudly in the sky. His unbridled laughter shocked everyone and quieted the entire area. They eyed Zhu Kai's ragged clothes and countless wounds, which were heavily bleeding. But he was still laughing. Thousands of disasters and hundreds of times more hardships throughout the centuries all ends in the blink of an eye. Immortal body and undestroyable soul of mine, shadow everyone. Zhu Kai repeated the verses he'd just shouted in a sonorous and overbearing voice. After a short pause, he squinted and his eyes became piercingly cold. Then, he shouted, I shall wait till the moment when the balance between the yin and yang is destroyed. I will wash heaven with my demonic blood. Boom. Instantly, the blood on his body splashed up and exploded into clumps of blood mist. However, his wounds healed up insanely fast. The next moment, he raised his hands as if he were dragging the mighty power of heaven and earth. The spiritual chi around him converged at an alarming rate. When he put his palms together and created the magic seal, it seemed all spiritual chi in the area was pumped out instantly. The void twisted abruptly as if something was about to break out. The next moment, Zhu Kai looked up at the remaining 700,000 plus celestial soldiers. He silently mouthed, Heavenly Thunder Seal. Chapter 613. The Inscription of the Immortal Emperor. Bang! Countless bolts of lightning intertwined together in the air, and a huge amount of the spiritual chi from the celestial burial valley erupted. The lightning collided with a spiritual chi, and together they formed a huge magic seal. The entire seal was surrounded by the lightning, and on the top end of it there were two statues of a dragon and an elephant, which looked extremely terrifying. The seal was floating right above the left 700,000 heavenly soldiers. Kill them! Zhu Kai suddenly shouted, waving his hands. Bang! The seal fell right onto the soldiers, and the next minute, more than 3 million soldiers were killed and changed into countless electrical arcs. All the arcs quickly flew into Zhu Kai's body like snakes. Seeing this, everyone on the ground was shocked. What is going on? He killed more than 3 million soldiers. Everyone had believed that Zhu Kai would be dead by now. They never thought he would be able to perform another powerful inscription so quickly. In just a few seconds, Zhu Kai had killed more than 1/3 of the entire population of the heavenly soldiers. This is impossible. This is impossible. Zhao Munan backed off a few steps and could not believe his eyes. Even a cultivator in the highest level of the void training stage could not be this powerful, while a man at the infant transformation stage is already this powerful. I can't feel any Taoist connotation from the inscription that young man just practiced, but to my surprise, it is really powerful. I think it might be an inscription of the immortal emperor. Kenji, the Holy Virgin of the illusionary flower and moon sect, said with a cold face. In fact, Kenji was right. Normally, if it were not for the inscription of the immortal emperor, a man of the infant transformation stage could not be this powerful. Even if that young man is just at the infant transformation stage, Zhao Teixuan said with a very serious face, with the help of the inscription of the immortal emperor, he manages to be as powerful as we are. Besides, those heavenly soldiers are just acting as lightning. I could also kill hundreds of thousands of them with just one shot. In fact, he knew deep in his mind that even if he was able to kill 1 million soldiers with one shot, he would consume all his core strength and be killed by the electrical arcs. The rest of the Holy Sons and Holy Virgins also knew that they would be heavily injured once hit by the electrical arc. That young man must have mastered a body cultivation inscription, the leader of the Zhang family exclaimed. That is why all the electrical arcs are absorbed by his body. I think the body cultivation inscription he has mastered must be a very ancient one. He was so surprised that his eyes stared wide ahead of him. Deep in his heart, he became greedy and wanted to have Zhu Kei's body for his own use. Even so, he should still be heavily injured. I saw just now his body automatically healed. Can it be possible that, hearing this, all the Holy Sons and Holy Virgins immediately knew what he meant and their hearts began to leap in their chests? The immortal inscription of the immortal Emperor of Eternity? A man suddenly exclaimed. Once someone mastered it, no matter how badly injured he was, as long there was one drop of his blood left, his body would be healed. He has mastered 2 inscriptions of the immortal Emperor and the body cultivation inscription. Who on earth is he? An old man from the Utopia faction asked. The rest of the old men of the Utopia faction all turned to Liu Jingning, trying to find out the answer. Liu Jingning shook her head. I don't know his background at all. I only know he is an acquaintance of Zhang Hongyan. Suddenly, Buttface appeared and said, that young man is my doll. All the inscriptions he has mastered I taught him. Anyone who wants to learn those inscriptions can come to me and give me blowjobs. I swear I will teach you. I think I have seen this dog before. Cultivators from the Zhang family and the Gong family, as well as those who participated the stone-cutting convention, recognized Buttface. You pathetic dog, give me all the inscriptions. Bailing Louis shouted while thrusting her hand toward Buttface. Bang! An invisible hand hit Buttface and immediately vanished. Buttface was alarmed and quickly ran away. How dare you sneak attack me? You wait here. Buttface shouted while running away extremely quickly. The cultivators were stunned to see Buttface still intact. Can it be possible that this dog really knows how to practice the inscription of the immortal emperor? All of a sudden, all the cultivators, Holy Sons, and Holy Virgins began to chase after Buttface, trying to catch him. However, Buttface ran very quickly toward the myriad flame incinerate ghosts spell. Zhu Kei, help me, let me in. Buttface shouted aloud, realizing he was in deep SHT, while Zhu Kei was busy absorbing the electric arcs, and by now, he had almost completed 70% of the cultivation for the Heavenly Thunder Seal. Even if the spirit visage and the negative cloak he wore had been destroyed, Zhu Kei felt his body was already much, much stronger than before. This was totally beyond his expectations. Buttface, you deal with your SHT yourself. I am busy. Zhu Kei laughed aloud and looked at the remaining 500,000 heavenly soldiers. You want your money back? Come, I am going to kill you all. Chapter 614. My storage rings. At this moment, the remaining 500,000 plus celestial soldiers no longer posed a threat to Zhu Kei. With aggressive offensive moves and a physique strengthened by the god of hell's compulsion, he was extremely powerful now. It seemed the 1 million celestial soldiers were quite overbearing. However, they were made from thunder. Therefore, their strength was quite limited. In front of Zhu Kei, a man that had all kinds of cheating devices, these celestial soldiers could only heave regretful sighs. Rumble. Because of Zhu Kei's successful provocation, The remaining 500,000 plus celestial soldiers rushed out simultaneously and charged Zuke with limitless silver light and lightning. From a distance, these celestial soldiers appeared to be thickly dotted silver meteors pouring down from the sky. Zuke had nowhere to hide. Zuke raised his hands again. An ancient but domineering aura came out from his body. Boom! The void twisted again. The spiritual chi in the celestial burial valley gushed out like a tsunami. A dragon and elephant seal composed of converged thunder took shape. Its killing aura was twice as much as the previous one. Buttface had been chased to the edge of the spell. He shouted, "Little brat, the plan worked. I've lured them here. Now open the spell, quick." "A plan? You lured them here?" Hearing that, those who were chasing Buttface stopped immediately and started to look at the sky vigilantly. However, Zuke just ignored Buttface and continued to attentively create the heavenly thunder seal with his fingers. He knew Buttface's physique was extremely strong, and no one could kill him. Therefore, he didn't want to give a response to Buttface. As for the plan to lure the pursuers here, that was nothing but Buttface's bluff. Boom! A big bang suddenly came from the myriad flames incinerate ghosts spell. An opening appeared on that colorful light screen. Whoosh! Buttface dashed in, unscratched. That was close. Buttface howled. "Damn, little brat, you ignored my cry for help." "Luckily, I could escape because I am good at spells, otherwise, I would die young in this place." Zuke was surprised. Indeed, Buttface used to say he was good at spells, but this unreliable dog had never shown off his skills. This time he'd managed to open and rush inside an expert spell quietly, which surprised Zuke quite a lot. At the same time, the chasers outside the spell realized they had been cheated and became quite furious. Several powerhouses started shouting, "What a cunning dog! This is outrageous! Attack the spell! It was just slashed by the heavenly tribulation. Now it's going to crash and collapse. Charge!" Everyone else also started attacking the spell. Rumble! Countless magic arts turned into a cloud of magic energy, which smashed on the light screen of the spell abruptly. The ground started to shake. Crack! A crisp sound came in. The light screen started cracking and a lot of fractures appeared like a cobweb. "Oh, no, retreat now." Behind them, something occurred to Liu Jingning suddenly. She hurriedly delivered messages to the people of her faction. The elders of the Utopia faction also planned to chase Buttface. After hearing Liu Jingning's words, they couldn't help but frown. "Holy Virgin, what do you mean?" "That dog might have the Celestial Emperor's arts. No matter how good the relationship between you and this dog or that guy is," an elder said with furrowed brows, "if we don't grab those arts, they will also be robbed by others. In strength, they might have been as powerful as Liu Jingning. In status, they were slightly inferior to her." Now Liu Jingning urged them to retreat. Although they wouldn't step back, they couldn't completely ignore the words of their Holy Virgin. "Hey, you really believe that guy set up the spell without leaving room for maneuver, right? If you want to die, just go with them and I won't stop you." Liu Jingning smiled coldly, then she stomped the ground slightly and flew back elegantly to stay away from the area. The elders were slightly stunned. After staring at each other for a while, they chose to ignore the temptation of the Celestial Emperor's arts by jumping into the air and leading their underlings to retreat together with Liu Jingning. On the other side, people of the Carefree Building had already rushed out. When Dong Junji saw how Buttface remained unscratched after being attacked by Bei Lingrui, he was the first one to rush out and chase Buttface. Several geniuses of the Carefree Building behind him were also following closely. Now they stood in front of the spell together with people from the other big families and sects. With their participation, the crumbling light screen of the myriad flames incinerate ghosts spell shattered at last. The next moment, they collided head-on with the blast of a horrible heat wave. The boundless sea of black flames surrounded them immediately. Bang, bang, bang. Over 100 explosive sounds came in one after another. Some cultivators whose cultivation levels were lower than the original infant stage exploded into clumps of blood mist and disappeared even before they had time to scream. "These flames are quite powerful. Everyone, take care." Zhang Yushu, the Grand Elder of the Zhang family said, taking out a defensive magic artifact and holding it in front of himself. Everyone else became grimly serious. When they were outside the spell, they had sensed the uniqueness of those black flames. When they broke the light screen and entered the spell, they found the flames were extremely horrible and the power had gone beyond their imagination. It could kill cultivators whose cultivation level were lower than the original infant stage instantly. "Ha ha, you stupid humans," Buttface sneered excitedly, standing behind the flames. "I entered through an entrance in the spell." "You entered by breaking the light screen forcibly. Now you've put your heads in nooses." However, the cultivators in the spell couldn't see Buttface, for they were trapped in the spell and could only see the endless sea of black flames around them. This was something like a mirage, but it was not an actual mirage, for they were trapped in the spell and surrounded by the world of the spell. Only people outside the spell could make a general, objective observation about it. No wonder it's an expert spell. They were trapped the moment they stepped into it. It seems they can't break the spell in a short period of time. Let's just have a look first. People from the Utopia faction around 10 kilometers away had stopped on a mountain to observe the situation outside the Celestial Burial Valley. One powerhouse still didn't want to give up and planned to observe the situation. Liu Jingning was concerned about Zhu Ke and Zhang Hongyan. Therefore, she didn't leave but chose to stand aside silently. Hearing the words of that powerhouse, she started to smile coldly. Her knowledge about Zhu Ke's tactics was much better than that of anyone else. Zhu Ke had prepared over 100 fire lotuses and put them in storage rings last night. That thought would forever freeze Liu Jingning's blood. At this moment, the powerhouses of the big families and sects took out their defensive artifacts. All of them had reached the summit of the void training stage. With the assistance of the defensive artifacts and their powerful strength, they were no longer threatened by the sea of black flames. Therefore, they started to find ways to get out of the spell. "Miss Han Ying of the Heaven's Secret Pavilion, please come into the spell and tell us the way to get out." Dong Zhenji shouted abruptly. The rest of the people also realized that only those of the Heaven's Secret Pavilion were good at spells. Now they needed to ask Han Ying, the Holy Virgin of the Heaven's Secret Pavilion, to help them. When they started to search for Han Ying after hearing Dong Zhenji's words, they found she was not in the spell. All at once, many people felt upset, for they knew the Heaven's Secret Pavilion was always cautious, and never took risks when they sensed danger. Now they didn't find one apprentice of the Heaven's Secret Pavilion in the spell. Could it be that? "Little brat," Buttface howled. "They are in the spell now. You just eliminate those celestial soldiers and come here to help me." He was now outside the spell. He was temporarily safe. However, he was quite anxious, for the sea of flames in the spell couldn't hold those cultivators for a long time. Rumble. A cloud of dazzling silver light burst forth in the sky again. The second heavenly thunder seal created by Zhu Ke crushed over 300,000 celestial soldiers. It was very horrible. However, the remaining 200,000 plus celestial soldiers, which were not hit by the heavenly thunder seal, all charged at Zhu Ke. Their long spears made from sliver lightning came at Zhu Ke from all directions. Puff! Zhu Ke was blown off and spat out a mouthful of blood. Meanwhile, it seemed a lot of shiny items fell out from his body toward the cultivators in the sea of flames. "Those are storage rings," someone shouted ecstatically when he looked up and saw this scene. After that, everyone rejoiced with wild excitement. "Those are storage rings dropped by that guy. The Celestial Emperor's arts could be stored in those rings." "Stop! Those are my storage rings. I will kill anyone who dares rob my storage rings." Zhu Ke's gut-wrenching voice came in from the sky. He was distressed by the loss of his precious treasures. Chapter 615, Don't Take My Rings Away. Seeing Zhu Ke's worried face, they were sure there were extremely valuable things inside the storage rings. Otherwise, he would not be this anxious and angry. They got so excited that their hearts began to beat rather quickly. "Don't take my rings away!" Zhu Ke shouted, ready to fly down. The remaining 200,000 soldiers stopped him from doing so. Bang! Zhu Ke was thrown back by the power and spit out blood again as if he had been seriously injured. Right at this moment, Another bunch of storage rings fell to the ground. Holy SHT, he's got this many rings with him? I knew it. He must have randomly walked into an ancient holy temple and got these rings there. I want his rings. They all gathered together to pick up the rings. Zhang Yashu hurriedly jumped to catch a ring that was right above him. Suddenly, the magic object of protection cracked, but he did not care. In his view, getting a storage ring in which there were either inscriptions of the immortal emperor or other powerful magic objects was more important. However, right as he was about to open the ring, he was hit by an inscription right on his chest. The next minute, his magic object of protection crumbled to pieces and Zhang Yashu was surrounded by black fire. FCKU. Zhang Yashu shouted. He was being attacked by an elder from the Gong family. Ha, you're wrong. Each of us should have a ring here. I was just using my inscription to make this one fly toward me. I never thought you would suddenly appear. The elder of the Gong family sneered. He jumped up and was about to take the ring. Bang! A few inscriptions hit the elder of the Gong family. He spat out blood and his hair looked very messy. Damn Bei family. FCKU. Well done. Zhang Yashu laughed aloud and hit the cultivators of the Bei family with his inscriptions to stop them from having the storage ring. All of a sudden, the situation spiraled out of control. The big three families, who had just mended their relationships, broke into fights with each other again. At the same time, most of the holy sons and holy virgins also started fighting against each other to get the storage ring falling from the sky. Zhao Munan penetrated a few cultivators with his red fang Tianji and jumped up and caught a ring. Suddenly, Qin Ji hit his arm and the ring slipped away from Zhao Munan's hand. FCKU. Zhao Munan cursed and started fighting with Qin Ji. Under the leadership of Dong Zhenji, a few talents of the Carefree building walked forward bravely. One helped block the black fire. Others managed to kill people getting in the way. Dong Zhenji created a huge invisible hand and took dozens of storage rings away. Stop! Zhu Ke shouted. Hearing this, the fight on the ground got even more serious. Stop! Stop! Zhu Ke shouted while helplessly watching them fight over his rings. He was still fighting against the remaining 200,000 soldiers. He tried many times to fly down to the ground and every time he attempted to do so, the soldiers blocked him. Seeing this, all the cultivators got more excited and were sure that there must be something extremely valuable inside the rings. Bang, bang, bang. Countless inscriptions bumped into each other, and all the cultivators started fighting as if they had gone crazy. There were only a few hundred storage rings, but there were at least tens of thousands of cultivators. It was impossible for everyone to have a ring. If we go now, we might still have a chance to get one or two. The few elders of the Utopia faction could no longer resist the temptation. Liu Jingning smiled and did not say anything. I never thought Zook would be this shameless. His few words caused them all to fight. This is hilarious. He is such a good performer. Seeing Liu Jingning smiling, the few elders shut up. They knew Liu Jingning too well and were instantly convinced that not going was a better choice. You guys are crazy. Something horribly dangerous is inside these rings. Buttface shouted. He was shocked and had no idea why these people were fighting so hard to get these rings. At the same time, Zhu Ke shouted from the sky, yes, he's right. There is something really dangerous inside the rings. Please believe me. Stop, stop, stop. How can you do this to me? Zhu Ke asked, his eyes watering. No one listened to him. Danger? You think I'm a 3-year-old child? Kill. Dong Zhenji shouted. With the help of his peers, he managed to get more than 20 storage rings. Seeing this, the other cultivators got extremely jealous and began running toward him. The Zhang family, the Gong family, and other influential families also got more than 10 rings each. Since they were still in a fight, they didn't have the time to open the rings. You call yourselves strong men, but you're all in fact very shameless and greedy people. Zhu Ke shouted angrily. You beast-ard. Don't think I have no idea who you are. Zhang Yashu sneered. You're the young man who turned the stone-cutting convention into a mess. What I've done is perfectly fair. He is right. If it weren't for you, Zhang Limu could not have possibly run away with that magic object. You two must have made this happen. We're just taking back something that belongs to us. Hearing this, Zuke glanced at the Holy Sons and Holy Virgins and angrily asked, "So why are you guys taking away my rings? How dare you talk us that way?" Bailingai shouted, "You are nothing." Dong Genji sneered and lifted his hand. There were over 20 storage rings on it. "You want to know why? The reason is that you're not entitled to have them. All the rings are sealed by my holy soul restriction. I don't think you can even open them." Zuke sneered. Hearing this, Dong Genji laughed aloud. "The holy soul restriction set by a man at the infant transformation stage is a piece of cake for me." The other cultivators also laughed aloud. In fact, for the Holy Sons and Holy Virgins, if they had enough time, they could also easily open a holy soul restriction set by someone at the form synthesis stage. "Great. I have to admit, you guys are wonderfully powerful." Zuke sneered and turned back to fight against the soldiers.